Chapter 46 of Nicholas Nickleby. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Nicholas Nickleby by Charles Dickens. Chapter 46 throws some light upon Nicholas's love, but whether for good or evil the reader must determine. After an anxious consideration of the painful and embarrassing position in which he was placed, Nicholas decided that he ought to lose no time in frankly stating it to the kind brothers. Availing himself of the first opportunity of being alone with Mr. Charles Cheeryble at the close of next day, he accordingly related Smike's little history, and modestly but firmly expressed his hope that the good old gentleman would, under such circumstances as he described, hold him justified in adopting the extreme course of interfering between parent and child, and upholding the latter in his disobedience, even though his horror and dread of his father might seem, and would doubtless be represented as, a thing so repulsive and unnatural as to render those who countenanced him in it fit objects of general detestation and abhorrence. So deeply rooted does this horror of the man appear to be, said Nicholas, that I can hardly believe he really is his son. Nature does not seem to have implanted in his breast one lingering feeling of affection for him, and surely she can never err. My dear sir, replied brother Charles, you fall into the very common mistake of charging upon nature matters with which she has not the smallest connection, and for which she is in no way responsible. Men talk of nature as an abstract thing, and lose sight of what is natural while they do so. Here is a poor lad who has never felt a parent's care, who has scarcely known anything all his life but suffering and sorrow, presented to a man who is told is his father, and whose first act is to signify his intention of putting an end to his short term of happiness, of consigning him to his old fate, and taking him from the only friend he has ever had, which is yourself. If nature in such a case put into that lad's breast but one secret prompting which urged him towards his father and away from you, she would be a liar and an idiot. Nicholas was delighted to find that the old gentleman spoke so warmly, and in the hope that he might say something more to the same purpose, made no reply. The same mistake presents itself to me in one shape or other at every turn, said brother Charles. Parents who never showed their love complain of want of natural affection in their children. Children who never showed their duty complain of want of natural feeling in their parents. Lawmakers who find both so miserable that their affections have never had enough of life's sun to develop them, are loud in their moralizings over parents and children too, and cry that the very ties of nature are disregarded. Natural affections and instincts, my dear sir, are the most beautiful of the Almighty's works, but like other beautiful works of His, they must be reared and fostered, or it is as natural that they should be wholly obscured, and that new feelings should usurp their place, as it is that the sweetest productions of the earth, left untended, should be choked with weeds and briars. I wish we could be brought to consider this, and remembering natural obligations a little more at the right time, talk about them a little less at the wrong one. After this, brother Charles, who had talked himself into a great heat, stopped to cool a little, and then continued. I dare say you are surprised, my dear sir, that I have listened to your recital with so little astonishment. That is easily explained. Your uncle has been here this morning. Nicholas coloured, and drew back a step or two. Yes, said the old gentleman, tapping his desk emphatically. Here, in this room. He would listen neither to reason, feeling, nor justice, but brother Ned was hard upon him. Brother Ned, sir, might have melted a paving stone. He came to, said Nicholas. To complain of you, returned brother Charles, to poison our ears with calumnies and falsehoods. But he came on a fruitless errand, and went away with some wholesome truths in his ear besides. Brother Ned, my Nickleby, brother Ned, sir, is a perfect lion. So is Tim Linkinwater. Tim is quite a lion. We had Tim in to face him at first, and Tim was at him, sir, before you could say Jack Robinson. How can I ever thank you all for the deep obligations you impose upon me every day, said Nicholas. By keeping silence upon this subject, my dear sir, returned brother Charles. You shall be righted. At least you shall not be wronged. Nobody belonging to you shall be wronged. They shall not hurt a hair of your head, or the boy's head, or your mother's head, or your sister's head. I have said it, brother Ned has said it, Tim Linkinwater has said it. We have all said it, and we'll all do it. I have seen the father, if he is the father, and I suppose he must be. He is a barbarian and a hypocrite, Mr. Nickleby. I told him, you are a barbarian, sir. I did. I said, you're a barbarian, sir, and I'm glad of it. I am very glad I told him he was a barbarian, very glad indeed. By this time brother Charles was in such a very warm state of indignation that Nicholas thought he might venture to put in a word, but the moment he essayed to do so, Mr. Cheeryble laid his hand softly upon his arm and pointed to a chair. The subject is at an end for the present, said the old gentleman, wiping his face. Don't revive it by a single word. I am going to speak upon another subject, a confidential subject, Mr. Nickleby. We must be cool again, we must be cool. After 2 or 3 turns across the room he resumed his seat, and drawing his chair nearer to that on which Nicholas was seated, said, I am about to employ you, my dear sir, on a confidential and delicate mission. You might employ many a more able messenger, sir, said Nicholas, but a more trustworthy or zealous one, I may be bold to say, you could not find. Of that I am well assured, returned brother Charles, well assured. You will give me credit for thinking so, when I tell you that the object of this mission is a young lady. A young lady, sir, cried Nicholas, quite trembling for the moment with his eagerness to hear more. A very beautiful young lady, said Mr. Cheeryble, gravely. Pray go on, sir, returned Nicholas. I am thinking how to do so, said brother Charles, sadly as it seemed to his young friend, and with an expression allied to pain. You accidentally saw a young lady in this room one morning, my dear sir, in a fainting fit. Do you remember? Perhaps you have forgotten. Oh no, replied Nicholas hurriedly. I remember it very well indeed. She is the lady I speak of, said brother Charles. Like the famous parrot, Nicholas thought a great deal, but was unable to utter a word. She is the daughter, said Mr. Cheeryble, of a lady who, when she was a beautiful girl herself, and I was very many years younger, it seems a strange word for me to utter now, I loved very dearly. You will smile, perhaps, to hear a grey-headed man talk about such things. You will not offend me, for when I was as young as you, I dare say I should have done the same. I have no such inclination indeed, said Nicholas. My dear brother Ned, continued Mr. Cheeryble, was to have married her sister, but she died. She is dead now too, and has been for many years. She married her choice, and I wish I could add that her afterlife was as happy as God knows I ever prayed it might be. A short silence intervened, which Nicholas made no effort to break. If trial and calamity had fallen as lightly on his head as in the deepest truth of my own heart I ever hoped, for her sake, it would, his life would have been one of peace and happiness, said the old gentleman calmly. It will be enough to say that this was not the case, that she was not happy, that they fell into complicated distresses and difficulties, that she came 12 months before her death to appeal to my old friendship. Sadly changed, sadly altered, broken-spirited from suffering and ill usage, and almost broken-hearted. He readily availed himself of the money which, to give her but 1 hour's peace of mind, I would have poured out as freely as water. Nay, he often sent her back for more. And yet, even while he squandered it, he made the very success of these, her applications to me, the groundwork of cruel taunts and jeers, protesting that he knew she thought with bitter remorse of the choice she had made, that she had married him from motives of interest and vanity. He was a gay young man with great friends about him when she chose him for her husband, and venting in short upon her by every unjust and unkind means the bitterness of that ruin and disappointment which had been brought about by his profligacy alone. In those times this young lady was a mere child. I never saw her again until that morning when you saw her also, but my nephew, Frank— Nicholas started, and indistinctly apologizing for the interruption, begged his patron to proceed. My nephew Frank, I say, resumed Mr. Cheeryble, encountered her by accident and lost sight of her almost in a minute afterwards, within 2 days after he returned to England. Her father lay in some secret place to avoid his creditors, reduced between sickness and poverty to the verge of death, and she, a child, we might almost think, if we did not know the wisdom of all heaven's decrees, who should have blessed a better man, was steadily braving privation, degradation, and everything most terrible to such a young and delicate creature's heart, for the purpose of supporting him. She was attended, sir, said brother Charles,